This is ladder herringbone, and it goes by a number of different names, but that's for another video because in this video I want to talk about the special case of making this stitch in a circle, which can be a bit of a challenge. But before I get started on that, let's just review backstitch quickly. Here's how we don't recommend doing it. A lot of people want to do it with a sewing motion, such as they would do for stem stitch, where, see how I'm holding the needle kind of flat across the fabric and going this way, and then trying to go forward and then come back and hit everything correctly. We recommend doing it in a stab stitch motion for greater accuracy. And it's important in a stitch like ladder herringbone, where accuracy is really going to matter. Notice that I'm changing now how I'm holding the needle. I'm not holding it like this. I'm holding it like this, so I can put it in straight up and down. And the idea is that I can see exactly where I'm putting it right into that hole and pull it straight through and get a very crisp stitch. Now I'm coming up here ahead of it, and I'm going to be able to see that nice crisp hole and go right back down into it. So that's something just to keep in mind as you're doing this. If you're having a difficulty making your back stitch, you're going to have to struggle with making the ladder herringbone. So practice your back stitch a little bit before you tackle this. So you can see one that I have stitched already. This is going to be where I'll form it. And notice something that I've done where I have marked out on each of the circles little quadrants. And you can use something like if you have these circles from Sue Spargo, you can mark the center of it, of each circle, and you can mark kind of a north, south, east, west. And you'll see in a minute why that is important. Because to make this stitch work, you're going to be connecting back and forth like a ladder. If the rungs of a ladder, they have to meet up with each other. They can't go like, oh, I missed a step. You have to have the same number of stitches in this circle as what you have in the outer circle. So here's where the whole challenge comes in. And I do recommend you do the smaller circle first, because you don't want to commit yourself to stitches out here and then realize, oh, it's very difficult to get the tinier stitches in here. So let's go back to our geometry class from back in high school. These stitches are going to have to be smaller, a shorter stitch length than these stitches, because if we want to cover a larger amount, a larger line out here than this line with the same number of stitches, see how each of these stitches has to be a little bit bigger than each of these. And I think people find that challenging because we all have kind of our natural stitch length that we just generally do. So what I do to keep myself on track is I don't just stitch the whole circle and then get to the end and think, oh, I've got 28 stitches or whatever, now I've got to try to get 28 stitches out here. I go by these quadrants so that I could see, okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches in my first quadrant. Now all I've got to do is go 1, 2, 3, get 5 in here. Now if I did 5 here and then I get over here and oh, I got 6, that's the time to fix it. Don't hope for the best and think, well, I'll just remember to do 6 here later. Just take these out right here. So fix it one quadrant at a time. So I did 20, and that's what I did for the little sample I showed on my circle sampler. So do 5 here, then you get 5 here, 5 and 5. Now you'll notice that we have the problem of we're going to have to offset these. So see how this line right here that marked my first quadrant, we'll call this the north and south here, that I didn't line this stitch up exactly with this one. No, I have to have it offset. So to help me with this one for the quadrants, I can just take a little friction marker, and I marked a line. You can see where I marked the line so that I knew this is going to be where my next back stitch ends, or begins, depending on how you like to think about your back stitches. So then I can take my, if I want to, I can take my, this was the larger size circle, and this is my north for my outer circle, and I could mark each of my quadrants. And notice, I mean, you could eyeball this if you wanted to. Notice that here's this one and this matches up to here, etc., as I go around. So that's what made it possible for me to keep track as I was going, that, okay, if I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I know that I have that one correct, and I can go on to the next one and just kind of break it down into chunks so that it's manageable. And you're not getting to the end and having to count, oh, okay, I had 29 stitches in here, and now I've got 31 out here. Oh my gosh, how do I fix it? Because it's really going to be way too late to fix it if you didn't get the good count on the inside circle. Then the whole thing, you're just going to be struggling to get it correct from then on. Now, I'm showing this in a contrast thread. These aren't especially pretty color combinations, but I just really want people to be able to see it. I've come up with my thread in a tapestry needle because I don't want to catch the ends of things, and that has a little bit of a blunter end to it. And notice that I'm in the middle of one of the stitches, you know, just right underneath it. So I'm on kind of the inside of the circle in the center of a stitch with this thread. Now I'm going to bring my needle from the top and down. So I'm always, when I'm on the top row, I'm always going from the outside in. And notice where I have my thread. This is very important. My thread is off to the right side of the needle. Now this first stitch doesn't look like much. I'm just getting started wrapping around. So now I move down here. So when I'm on the inside circle, I'm going inside out. Now again, notice where my thread is. It's to the right of the needle. Don't loop it over to the other side. So the needle is coming over it. This is an interlaced stitch. Okay, so there's my first one. Now, I think after we do a few of these, you'll see where you're going. Now, remember, I'm on the outside circle, so I'm going outside in. My thread is off to the right of the needle. Okay, now I'm on the inside circle, so I'm going inside out. And there's my thread again, off to the right of the needle. You're going to get tired of hearing me say that, but that's okay. The thread's going to be off to the right. I'm on the outer circle, and I'm going outside in. I'm on the inside circle. The thread is off to the right. I'm on the next stitch, and I'm going from the inside to the outside. So now I hope everybody has gone from thinking, what a pain in the neck this stitch is, to thinking, what a great effect. In case you can't tell, I just love this stitch. I love stitches that connect simple lines like back stitch or running stitch, and just it makes it so decorative. And really, it's economical with this top thread because you're not wasting any stitches on the bottom where you can't see them. Now, notice one thing that I'm being very careful of. I'm not doing this. If you start getting really stressed out about this and start pulling things really tightly, you're going to just have, a really big mess with it. So you have to be kind of gentle with this. Also, my final tip is start with a long enough piece of thread, because you don't want to get 2/3 of the way around and realize, oh rats, I can't finish the stitch, because there is no good way to join this. And then you'll see when you get back around to this side, you'll just be able to see where it would connect and just sink it right down in there. It'll just find where it naturally connects down, and it will look, you wouldn't even be able to see where the seam of it is. So I hope that this has encouraged you to tackle this really, really pretty stitch, and that you have success with this.